My name is Andrew Balongo Opere, for those who do not know me. And I started this project off for one reason. Normally, a lot of people would say at the end of the year, oh, I've read 20 books or 30 books. But when you ask them what they've learned from that experience, they really can't tell you anything. So I really just wanted to find out how I could find a way of discussing about books, because I found out as I discussed a similar book I read with someone, I learned more about the book from how that person received the book. So hence I realized people are learning how to introspect and how to communicate their own thoughts, which is something which was really not emphasized in our 844 system. So through this experience, I get to appreciate someone else's thoughts, even though they are different than mine, and also give people an opportunity to express themselves, whether they are male or female, whether their thoughts are similar to mine or whether they are totally different from mine. So that is the reason I decided to start this platform. And as we continue, I'd just like to just ask, what's your expectation of this session? And because we're a few, I guess, we can just go ahead and turn our video so that I'm not just seeing text here on the screen. So since Karen came first, please unmute yourself. Let's see a video of you and just tell me, what are you expecting from this session ever since you joined the group on WhatsApp?
Andrew, thank you for convening this session. For me, what I expect, as you have just said, is about what did I get from the book, and also to have a feel of what others got from the book, as well as to have a meaningful conversation about it. Yeah.
All right, and thank you for being on time.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, Wanja, let's see and hear from you.
Hi, Andrew.
Hey, Wanja. Frida!
Sorry. I'm in darkness. I'm not feeling so well.
It's okay. As long as you're alive and we are seeing you. It's been so long since I've seen you. I've started forgetting what you look like. Hey.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, why I'm in the reading book club is one, because I want to learn about people's views, because we do not experience something uniformly. Everybody has their own story. They learn something differently, Also, because I'm not very logical in my thinking processes. I think I am more an emotional person. So I actually like hearing the logical bit of a book from people, because generally I connect with the books on an emotional level, mostly. Yeah. So yes, I like listening to people, philosophical thoughts, to understand it better. Yeah, either to be part of the story or to remove myself from the story, basically to learn the story. Yep.
Wow. And thank you for that, Wanja. And I think you've mentioned another thing that I probably was one of my intentions that I was not able to talk about, is helping people unlock self-awareness for themselves. And the fact that you said that you're self-aware, that you're emotional and you're not logical. So through listening to other people, you get a chance to hear people's different logical process. So I appreciate that. Not a lot of people are aware about that. And so, yes, I'd like to welcome our next participant, the great Gibson Gisore, aka Gabu the Teddy Bear. Welcome, Gabu Gabu.
My goodness. Hi guys. I don't know who's on.
In fact, you just came.
Let me see the participants.
You came just in time. So Yes, participants, please put your video on so Gabu can see you. And Gabu, also put your video on. What we've just finished talking about is our expectations. Why did we
Uh,
join? Why did we join the group? And what is our expectation for this session? Because today is Karen's first time.
I don't know, Karen.
Hi, Gabu.
Oh yeah. So where I am right now. Hi, Karen. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How do you do?
Oh, there you are. Fantastic.
Yes, Gabu, let's
I'm
see you
okay.
too.
I'm okay.
You know, it's rude, Karen has shown herself and you're not showing yourself also.
Paliniko, I cannot put on my video because sort of traveling. However,
Okay,
give me 2 minutes.
sure, sure.
Give, um, give me 2 minutes. I'll see what to do. However,
Okay.
I just wanted to say hi. I did not read the book, but I'm joining the conversation. I want to see people cry. Uh, let me go change into something which is a bit more. Hataki kuona hii chest yangu saizi. Back to you.
Wacha waone. Oh, sorry, that's a different
Hapana,
group.
waone.
That's a different
Hey.
group.
Thank you so much. I'll join you guys in like 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, so Karen, I'd like to warn
Hi,
you.
Wanja.
Hi, Gabu. How are you?
So I'm okay. It's nice to hear from you too. Andrew, you're doing such a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Tutapatana tu Waibari tukunywe ka whisky siku moja.
Yes, thank you.
Meanwhile, continue. Let me join you guys in a while.
Sawa. So, Karen, I'll just warn you that the minds in this group are, for lack of a better word, awesome and great. They're not those regular conservative minds. So when you hear them engage, we might mention some things that might startle you, but don't get startled. Yes. So you might find people talking very abstract things, which encourages me. The fact that I'm in this group, it just makes me realize that life is not just one-sided, but we can have multiple sides. So yes, then let's begin this. I normally like having this session go in 3 phases. The first phase would be to give a summary of the book. And then the second phase would be to talk about the writing style. And then the third phase would be to talk about the themes. What stood out for you? And it is through this, through these 3 different modes of thinking has changed the way I read books. I don't read books to finish, but I'm like, this particular line catches me. I'm like, oh my God, And then I ask myself, why did this catch me? So it really helps me grow. And I can say that this book has really humbled me. Reason being, we don't really talk about death in Kenya. And when someone dies who's close to us, we're at a loss for words. Or rather, personally, I feel a loss for words. And I remember there was a time I was in a peer counseling club and we did a presentation about grief. And the guy who was doing the presentation, he had a paper on things, what to say and what not to say. And I remember him saying that especially people who are religious make this mistake. They say that, oh, it's God's will that your mom died or your dad died. Whether that is true or not true, how the F do you tell someone that when they're grieving? That's not what they want to hear. Now, a religious person may think they're
Agreed.
coming from a good place, trying to comfort you, but for the person who's grieving, it just rubs the wrong way. And Joy and Jaggy, I don't know if you can hear us. We can see you, but I'm not seeing your audio icons. I don't know if you can hear me. 1 second while I just help Joy get her audio rolling. Yes. So that's why I found this book. I can't say mind-blowing because it's not even really about the mind. I would say, for lack of a better word, heart-blowing. because number one, it was a man expressing his journey, of which we rarely get to hear men talking about life-changing events. You know, we don't want the surface stuff like, it was hard. Oh yeah, I weathered through it, you know, such talk. But just to see, what was he thinking? Was he scared? What support did he have, you know? And this book really answered those questions for me. So I just want us to give a couple of minutes to Joy and Veronica, who are joining us right now, before we start our summary. I hope that's okay with you, Karen and Wanja.
That's okay.
Okay. So I'd just like to take this time to welcome Veronica Virigo. How are you?
Hi, okay, thank you.
Yes, and we also like to welcome Joy. I think she's trying to connect her audio, but as she's trying to do that, we have Karen and Wanja in the room already. And yes, I'd just like to find out, what is your expectation? I don't know, is this your first time having this discussion with us? And if it is, what's your expectation of this session? And if it's not your first time, how has your experience been? And what's your expectation of the experience? Why did you join the group? And while you're answering, please allow us to see your lovely, beautiful self with your video, please, so we could all see you. Veronica? Veronica, are you there?
Hello.
Veronica, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Good,
Yes,
wonderful.
Yes. How you are?
Yes.
Yes, what's the question?
So the question was, what's your expectation of this session? Is this your first time with us? And if it is, just let us know what you expect of this session. And if it's not, tell us why you joined the book club and what do you expect to experience from this session?
Yeah, this is my first session. I am just expecting us to discuss that book. It's a book I had read before. Yeah, I just want to hear what other people think about it. It's a book I really love. Have I answered everything?
Yes, you've answered. All right. Okay. Thank you, Veronica. Yes, next I'd like to welcome Joy Njagi. Welcome, Joy. Yes, please unmute yourself. Yes.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I've forgotten to mute myself. Yeah, this is the first time I'm joining the group.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, this is the first time I'm joining the Zoom call.
Yes.
For the group, and I joined the group because I used to read a lot. I used to read a lot, and now I no longer read for whatever reason. I don't read that much. Like, I bought a book last month and I'm still struggling to finish it. So I want to go back to reading, to having a reading culture. That's why I joined the group.
All right. And what's your expectation of this session?
Well, just to have a discussion of the book, to also meet some book club members, to know who we like, to just sort of know the group better.
All right. Thank you for that, Joy. Yeah. Yes, I'd like to welcome our newcomers. They're not new, but they were newcomers for today's session. Cloud9 and Unique Books. So Cloud9, please unmute yourself and let us see you. Just let us know why you joined the book club. What's your expectation of this session?
Andy, I'm not a newcomer. First of all, hey, it's
Hey,
been a
how are you?
minute, dude.
Happy New Year! Congratulations! Happy Valentine's! Happy International
Valentine's.
Women's Day! Happy what else? All those days.
All those things. In fact, it's happy birthday. It's
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Wow!
Yeah.
Happy birthday!
Anyway, I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that question of Ati why I joined. I joined Kitambo as your legacy members. So for the new guys, Karibu, and Andrew is a wonderful moderator and experienced host. I'm sure he will take us through this thing very well. I'm just excited to discuss the book as usual. I've been waiting for so long. I think I didn't tell you. So I'm expecting a fun-filled, probably emotional, considering the book we read this month, and hoping to listen and learn from other people's perspective, rather what they took from this book. That's my expectation for today.
All right. Thank you for sharing that, Cloud9. All right. Our next person, Unique Books, the awesome philosopher himself. Please unmute yourself. Let's see you. Let us know what you're expecting for this particular session.
Hi, Andrew, and the rest of the team.
And let's see you also. Naja, I'm just seeing Unique Books and you're seeing my face. I haven't seen you for a while. Nimekumiss pia, man.
Thank you. You look good in that shave.
Yes, thank you.
Nimekuzoea kukuona na manywele.
Yeah, so just trying something new.
Yeah, so thank you so much for the welcome. I'm not a new member. Yes. On that the previous meetings I was not able to attend, but today I'm very much present.
Yes.
Yeah, and really looking forward to the discussion of this sad book.
Yes.
Yeah. Once I move to a place kuna light, nitaeka camera on.
Sawa. Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
All right. Unmute yourself, Marian, the awesome Marian herself, and let us see you. Happy New Year. Kwanza sijakuona in a while. Marian? Well, namezoea hiyo tabia of just saying, just listening. You have to participate also somehow, sharing your voice. That's what this whole experiment is about. Marian, can you hear me? Okay, well, Marian is trying to unmute herself. Yes. Kawesa Juma, the philosopher. Please unmute yourself. Let's hear you. Greetings before we start this summary. Mr. Kantai.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm fine. Maybe you?
Yes, I'm well, thank you. Yes. What's your expectation for this discussion today?
I don't even know. I didn't attend the last one, so I don't have a benchmark for anything. Yes. But I hope it will be productive, especially with the whole Corona thing happening. There's a lot of introspection on being conscious of our own mortality and all. So yeah, I think it will be an interesting conversation.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you saying that. And so what we're going to do is, for all of those who are here, we're going to go through 3 stages. We're going to summarize the book. So everyone is going to share what they remember from the book, the parts that stood out to you, just summarizing it. Then the next stage, part 2, we're going to talk about the writing style. And then part 3, we're now going to talk about the themes and unpack them, whatever stood out to us. So that's how the sequence is going to be. So, and I'm just going to share something right now in the chat. It's sort of like a template that will help us guide our thoughts. It's a communication tool used in speeches called PrEP. So it's where you say your point, and then you share your reason for the point, and you share an explanation or an example, and then you just reiterate your point. So for example, I might say, I might start off saying that, what can we say? That V, for example, and we know who V is. V is one of those, the surgeons that Pabi worked with, and Pabi is the nickname for Paul Kalanithi, the family nickname. So you remember there was a point at the end where V was sick, and he was wondering why he was sick. And, he asked the question, is my life worth it? And Paul was wondering, how can he ask that? His life, this guy's been making impact. How should he ask such a question? So, maybe a point could be, sometimes we doubt ourselves in life, whether we make impact or not. Reason, sometimes we don't get feedback, we might not be worthy. Example, V asking Paul whether his contributions to life are worthy. And so we give an example from the book. And then we finish off just summarizing the point. So I hope that is all clear. And so right now I'd like us to start summarizing the book. So I'll just start by saying that the book is When Breath Becomes Air, is a memoir of Paul Kalanithi, and he was a surgeon. He passed away, but before the book could be finished. But before he passed away, this is pretty much his memoir. And so right now, I'd like everyone to continue to contributing towards the summary. And I'll just warn you right now, I'll ask the question. Whoever will volunteer first, that will be good. If you don't volunteer, I shall go alphabetically. So who'd like to be the first volunteer? So by the way, we don't have a lot of time because we are finishing promptly at 5 minutes to 8. So at least I've started off with the title of the book and how it came to be. Who would like to go next? Okay, Cloud9, you're next alphabetically.
It's not alphabetically from the bottom, just to spice things up.
Don't worry, I've started with you, please. Time is against us, just like the way time was against Paul Kalanithi.
Wow, you just had to go there.
Yes, we are wordsmiths, we deal with books. We can't just, And if you can, just for the sake of everyone else while we are speaking, it would be nice if we could have our video on.
It's a lie, no video for me, so you can hear me.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So what struck me most about the book? So I knew, of course, Paul died.
But they were starting with a summary before we go into the in-depth. So just a summary of the book. How do you break it down for some? There's some people who haven't read it, so that they can catch up to speed with the discussions. At least just give them a taste of the book.
Oh, okay. So Paul Kalanithi was a neurosurgeon. He wrote the book that we're discussing, When Breath Becomes Air. He starts off about his early life in back home with his siblings, his parents, how he grew up, why he decided to become a neurosurgeon and what led into his decision, including the schools that he went to. But before he became a neurosurgeon, he branched off to do other things. And really for him, it was a quest of what he wanted. I guess he was looking for answers about what life was and what his purpose is, or what our purpose is as human beings. So he kind of did 1, 2, 3 things before he became a neurosurgeon, a brilliant one at that. In his, I don't remember which year it was, but as a resident, he then he met his girlfriend, they got married, and they were doing their thing, life, and then he got sick and got diagnosed with cancer. And of course, as you know, or maybe you don't know, but cancer and all of its heartbreak and whatnot, he was given, a certain amount of time to live, blah, blah. And of course, got him introspecting again about life and its meaning and whatnot. In that whole diagnosis, he and his wife decided to have a baby, even while he was really, really sick. And it's not a very, it's not a common decision, but they did it. They had a baby. And while he was, well, mostly his wife, but the little that he could in terms of raising his baby and whatnot, he unfortunately passed. And the ending of the book was not actually completed by him. The book was completed by his wife after his passing, because he was very open with her and his family about, the book he was writing and what he wanted. So it was very sweet and very heartbreaking, but at the same time, eye-opening. I think for almost everybody who's read the book. So if you haven't, I think that's a pretty good summary.
Thank you. I appreciate that summary, Cloud9. Now, would anyone like to add any additional parts to the summary that she's just added there? They think that is very instrumental to the story that we need to add there. So I've typed in the chat to the best of my ability what Cloud9 has shared. And yes, welcome Anissa and DC.
Hi.
And Anissa and DC is one of the co-founders of this group. So I always have to give acknowledgement to one of the founding people that has impacted our lives through books. So thank you, Anissa. For all of those who do not know, this is the brainchild of Anissa and DC. Thank you, Anissa.
Thank you, Andrew. How's it going? Sorry, I'm late.
So far, so good. Cloud9 has just given us a good summary. And I'm just giving this opportunity to anyone else that wants to add in some more part of the summary before we go into the writing style and breaking down the themes. Now, anyone wants to volunteer? If you don't volunteer, I will call the next person in line. And before I call the next person in line, I will point out that before he chose neurosurgery, he started reading a lot of books, courtesy of his mom. And so he actually started off being a literature major, but then he reached a point where it was like, he's not getting a real practical experience of life. So that's why he opted for medicine. And I forget the impulse that really hit him to choose medicine, but I'll remember as we go on. Anyone want to volunteer any more parts of the summary? Okay, no one's responding. Joy Jackie, you're next. Joy?
This is my first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's my first time, so I'm wondering, should I contribute to the summary or the theme?
Yes, contributing to the summary. Add in whatever parts you feel needs to be added just to make this a wholesome summary.
Okay.
Was there anything you think she missed out that could be added?
I think she did a really good summary of the book actually. So and I don't know if she mentioned, did she mention that he at all points of his life, from the time he was a literature student to that time where he became a medicine student, he was consumed with the question of what makes people tick, what makes life worth living and meaningful.
Wow, thank you for adding that. Yes, that is a very driving force for a lot of his actions. Yes. I've added that. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the summary?
Well, she did a really good summary. I'm wondering what else to add. That's all for now.
Okay. Do you remember the specific point when he changed his major from literature to medicine?
After he was done with literature.
Yes. Why was
after he was done?
Yeah. Why was he done with literature? Do you remember?
I guess he just wanted to like have a more impactful life, to have a bigger impact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Joy. I appreciate.
Welcome.
All right. Next is Karen Mude. Karen, unmute yourself.
Now, Andrew, the unfortunate bit about myself is that I read the book in 2019.
Yes.
So I cannot remember the intricacies.
Okay. What do you remember that you think could be added to this?
Perhaps the summary has been well done by Cloud9 and by Joy. But perhaps what I can just add is that throughout the book, it keeps on making you wonder, what is it that gives you meaning to life? And what would you do in case you're in the same position as the doctor, in terms of how long do you have left and what do you need to do in life to make it more meaningful?
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that, Karen. And I agree with you. That's a constant thing because he tends to view life from the point of a doctor. And he had a challenge because he viewed people as just things. But he started reaching a point where he realized a patient is a human being with feelings. How can I address those feelings? Like when your person is going to die, you can't just say, oh yeah, they have 5 months to live. Sorry. It's like you have to address them from a human level. And then finally, when he switched to being a patient, life even changed for him even more. So thank you for unlocking that, Karen. And I just like to let everyone know anything that you share is not silly or stupid. And you see, everything that you share unlocks something. So thank you for sharing. Yes, Kawesa Juma. What do you have to contribute towards the summary?
Wow. Okay, so the thing I remember, okay, let me actually get the book. Oh, kwanza wacha ni apologize. I read the book like the first week of the month, then I've been reading other books, so hata sijui nilisoma nini.
Yeah, so you see, now you see why I've been sending all of you those messages on purpose, where I'm giving you that when you guys are reading, it's not to read to finish, but write down some small quotes you can share. It helps you retain it in your mind,
Okay, so I've got the part which stuck with me for a while, and I've been thinking about part 2, Sees Not Till Death. Hapo, like one of the connotations anatoa ni saying moja ya Michel Del Monte, anasema that to study philosophy is to learn to die. Like there's a level of awareness, mortality, like throughout his life, basically, from ukiangalia namna amekuwa akienda chuo, medicine, literature, like unaona like throughout his life alikuwa anajaribu kutafuta meaning, na at some point like he found that life is suffering, na out of the suffering he decided to give the suffering meaning, yani like with the consciousness of his ailment, na anaona partner yake ako hapo. I think at some point alikuwa amemweleza mke wake in case he dies she should remarry. So like there's that your awareness ya mortality na giving his mortality meaning within the suffering. Like it was so poetic kwangu. Like even before he was sick, he was aware of his mortality, na his significance or insignificance in existence. Na he still chose to give it meaning throughout as a doctor, before his diagnosis, na even after he was diagnosed, he decided to become a father. Like I found it so poetic. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing, Kawesa. And even as you say that you appreciate it being poetic, which I guess we'll talk about it in the themes, you know, is it fair to the wife, really? You know, you can say all this like, oh, I want to go out on top, but you're going to leave behind someone and you're going to be missing all those times. You know, what support does she need and all that? And for a long time in the beginning, I didn't realize the impact of her words, you know, when, oh yes, this was when he started having back pains. And they went to the doctor's appointment and they said they're going to do some tests. He had an inkling something was wrong and they decided, you know, let's go visit our friends, okay, somewhere on the East Coast. And she said, no, I'm not going to come with you. And he was wondering, hey, babe, why, you know? And she said something that hit me. What was it? It's like you're not opening up. I'm paraphrasing. And he said something that hit me. He said, there's the life that I promised you and there's the life that you're experiencing now. Kuna tofauti, there's a difference. And at the beginning, I thought it was sort of unfair of her. But then as the book continued, I realized that even his whole life has been just about him. You know, it's not about coexisting, just been career. But anyway, I'm going into theme. We'll unpack that some more. Yes, let me give a chance since she came late, but her name is high on the list alphabetically. Anissa Ndisi. Would you like to contribute anything towards the summary? Let's unmute yourself.
So to add on, I thought it was amazing how the struggle he had deciding to have a child, because would it be okay to leave his wife to deal with the whole thing? Or would it be selfish? You know, he struggled with that thought for a while. And that is particularly poignant to me because you can imagine dealing with mortality and then also deciding whether you want to bring life, you know? So as one of the key points, especially as a mom, I can imagine for them that was a big struggle. And as a gift to her, in the end, you know, when she's writing the prologue, she talks about how he felt about it. And it's painful to read. That whole book is so painful to read, but beautiful at the same time. What did you think?
Yes, I found it. That's why I appreciated us doing this book, because it's the first time I've seen a man sharing his innermost thoughts without judgment. Because in our world, we rarely get an opportunity to share our thoughts, like our ups and downs, just about situation, because we fear how women will become emotional or what have you. So we really don't get a chance to say, I'm struggling with this. I don't know what to say. I don't have the right words. So that's why I appreciate this book, and I'm excited to see unpacking it even more.
Yeah. And how he was so jovial about, you know, his wife describes the last days like he was so happy the entire time. But you could imagine what he was grappling with, you know, and how hard it was for him to imagine dying and leaving his pregnant wife behind. So I feel like he planned a lot, and he also wrote a whole book. So imagine what strength that takes when you don't have strength, you know?
Yes. And maybe this could be inspiration for all of us to start writing our books. Because when you shared this, it reminded me of something he said. He started off life being very philosophical, reading all these books and, you know, being idealistic. Then he realized that it doesn't unlock for me what life is, being philosophical. So that's why he chose medicine. But then now when he hit the point where he became sick and is losing his faculties, literature came back again to boost him back up. So we sort of see like a circle where sometimes the thing that got you here might have a bad taste in your mouth now, but it'll lift you up again later on. So we shouldn't discard our books, but I think the main thing that I got from this book for me is how do we have a practical experience of all these awesome books we have? Because a lot of us quote from these books, Kantianism, Kantism, or existentialism. Yes, all these, we like quoting them in arguments, but do we really have a life experience that reflects that? Can we honor the person who is at the other end of the explanation? Can we give them an experience of this thing, honoring their emotions and their decisions? That's the main thing that this experience brought out for me. So thank you, Anissa.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, we'll continue during the thing.
I took time to read about what his wife did. So it's been 5 years later. She found a partner, but he left her and said, you can find a partner. I hope you find love, what you were discussing earlier. And she was okay with it because he gave her so much love and he trusted her to find a partner. But she says, I'm still in love with him because he was more amazing than I could have imagined to have in a man, And that truly is something, considering.
And I'm glad you shared that because it reminded me of when they came out of the marriage counselor's office. The marriage counselor said, you guys are handling this pretty well. And he thought so too, but it's effed up, for lack of a better word, that they were okay during crisis and not when things were regular.
Yeah.
So he didn't appreciate her like during when time is regular. The whole focus was on career, which is now also another conversation, which I think we don't have. The impact of career on our time with our partner, to the point that, just personally, I've said, you know what, I can't date someone who is in the, international relations NGO space, because trying to change the world and, how's your day, baby? These guys are just oppressing us. We're trying to change the system, change. Just personally, I find that a challenge to have that conversation and be in that vibe all the time. Just from learning what about life is. Every career is challenging, but I think for me, that's what I just started picking out, going forward. But thank you for sharing, Anissa.
Santi.
All right. Marion, I know you said you didn't finish the book, but I'd like to hear what you like to add something that you feel we've missed that needs to be slotted in the summary. And let's see your beautiful face, please.
I'm on the couch
okay.
waiting for this bit to finish so that I sleep. What caught me is that his mom and dad, where I reached, and I plan to finish after this meeting, maybe by the end of this week. His mom and dad ran away because their parents didn't want them to get married. And then the mom impacted his reading culture, which is the same thing you observe with the Think Big neurosurgeon. What is his name?
Ben Carson, yes.
Yes, Ben Carson. So it's a theme that I've seen, that moms impact their children. Yeah, that's so far the place I am at. That's what I picked.
All right. Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's part of the backstory at the beginning of part 1, where he shares his growing up. His mom and dad moved from India to the US, and his dad was Hindu and the mom is Christian, or vice versa, or the dad was Christian and the mom was Hindu. Someone correct me?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but their parents were not for that union.
Yes, yes. So the fact that these parents ran away to the US to give themselves a life they wanted because of love is really, I think it's really, let me not say mind-blowing, I'm going to say heart-opening from now on, because this book did not hit my head, it hit my heart. The level,
Okay.
the level of sacrifice our parents make for us to be where we are. I think that's something that's not really emphasized. So yeah, thank you for sharing that part of the summary, Marion, because you find out that they lived in a small town where the school system was not good. So the mom was not satisfied with the quality of education in that school. So that's why she had her son read all these books. So she exposed him to George Orwell 1984 when he's 10 years old. So you can imagine,
Yeah.
you know, and all these books that we're probably reading right now in our 20s, 30s, 40s when he's 10. So that's why he started having an early quest about the meaning of life. So thank you for sharing that, Marion.
Welcome.
All right. Who is next after Marion?
We're only remaining with 1 hour.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. Unique books. What do you have to add to the summary?
Thank you, Andrew.
Yes.
I think what I can say in short is it's a book on how to live and how to die. Yeah, it wasn't an easy book to read, especially the last part, the epilogue, which I know most people skipped, but it gives you like the life of the wife after Paul died, and I think also not being a medic, I struggled with the jargon in there, but yeah, I can say I don't want to go to the writing sides because I'm so much tempted, but it's just about how to live and how to die. By the time you are dying, is your life worthy? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that's why some of you might notice, for those of you who have interacted with me, you see me giving props to a lot of people is because I've learned the reason of appreciating people. We should not appreciate people when they are dead. So that's why we should appreciate them when they're alive. And I'd like to welcome our new guest, Aurelia Kungu. Welcome, Aurelia.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Sorry for joining in so late. I got caught up somewhere, but I'm happy to be here.
It's okay as long as you're alive. Right now, we're just about to finish ending the summary of the book. I don't know if there's something you wanted to add. What stood out for you as you are summarizing the book?
I really started connecting truly with the book when I started reading the bit written by Lucy Kalanithi. I felt that her account of the whole experience was very, very personal, and you could almost feel her pain and feel her experiences,
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that was what stood out most for me in the entire book. And it's impressive how much she loved him. I want to feel that kind of love for someone someday.
Wow. 1 second, just continue.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Yes, I'm multitasking, bringing people in I might not see. So if you see someone waiting for too long, please let me know. But yes, thank you for that, Aurelia. And we'll talk about some more in the themes. So now, we're here to talk about the part which will go very quickly. What do you guys think about the writing style of the book? I know we've read and discussed a lot of books. Some the language has been hard, some easy. How did you find the writing style of this particular book?
Andrew?
Yes.
Maybe I could contribute on this one. The fact that he
Sure.
gave the story on a first-person basis, that one makes it a much more personal story, even to the reader. It becomes like you step into their minds. So the fact that this was actually his life and he gave the story in first-person writing, it made the impact was much more for me because it's his biography. He's giving the story of his life. He's talking about that, and then the style he chooses to use. It really brought the story home. I don't know. It just brought his life even closer. Like you could step into his shoes and walk with him every day.
Yes. Thank you for pointing out that out, Wanja. That's very true. You know, first person, he did not filter. And it really helped us identify with him and his world, you know. Apart from trying to use a dictionary for all those medical procedures and terms, at least what I appreciated is he explained it after that word came. So thank you, Wanja, for that. Yes. Who else would like to talk about the writing style?
Andrew, if I may.
Sure.
Yeah, I had a bit of a trouble getting used to adjusting to the jargon used, the medical jargon used. Like you, I had to refer to my dictionary a lot. But, right now in a conversation that is medically affiliated, I could easily, use those words and pretend that I know so much about medicine. So there's that. But yeah, the writing style was good, pretty easy to follow. Yeah. And he simplified most of those medical terms anyway, because he knew that most of his readers were not medical practitioners like himself. I'm sure he did his best to make them as simple as possible. And we are discussing it now. It means that we understood. So I guess he did his bit.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that, Aurelia. Yes, anyone else wants to share on the writing style?
So I like the fact that he wrote like himself. It felt like he was telling his story and you could hear it, And it was very personal, and how he described having fun and talking to the rest of the doctors. And often I felt like he explained some of the medical jargon, so it wasn't so difficult, But it was a very personal experience for him to write the book, So it didn't feel like he tried really hard or he had an editor at hand to help him steer the story. He truly just started where he started and got to where he got.
Yes. Thank you.
I also feel like personally for me it was very easy to follow. I attribute my understanding of the medical jargon to years and dedication of watching Grey's Anatomy. So when it's mentioning things like pulmonary embolism and things like that, I was yes, can say like that was just like, yeah, okay, so but other than that, I actually commend his writing style and his wife's because she contributed towards the end. For one reason in particular, men are not very good at communicating their emotions, either because they don't know how to or because they're afraid of being vulnerable for, quote unquote, manly reasons. So the fact that this book evoked very powerful emotions in just about all of us. And I can personally, I was crying from, I won't even say what chapter, but very early on, because I'm not just crying, but also the happy places, I was really feeling it, especially when their marriage was like all nice and stuff. And when it was rocky, was kind of pissed because I'm like, but you're so self-absorbed, you guy. I know you're dying and shit, but I mean, what about her? Like, yeah, I mean, dude, really, to be such a man's man. But I liked that style of writing because I was able to feel from page 1 up to the end.
Yes, that's very true. Maybe we could attribute it to their medical training where you have to, you have to write stuff, but maybe also a combination of that and him trying to answer the mysteries of life, what's life's meaning about, maybe contributed towards him writing it that way because, yeah, we're
I
not
attribute it
doctors.
to his when he did literature before he moved to neurosurgery. I think his time studying literature and his early experience of reading books as a child helped him write this book quite easily, because I feel like if it was another neurosurgeon who did not do, or if he didn't do literature, we really wouldn't have understood this book, and not just understood it, it probably wouldn't have evoked the emotions that it did.
Yes, yes. Wow, thank you, Cloud9, for that. Anyone else want to talk about the writing style before you move on to the themes? All right. Since y'all are silent, let's spend the rest of the time talking about the themes. Who would like to start off? Yeah, since Lynn is just apologizing for joining late, feel free to start. Let's hear your voice, Lynn. We've just summarized the whole book and we've talked about the writing style. Summary is the writing style was very easy. Even the wife's writing style is easy. Managed to summarize the book. So Lynn, what do you have to share about what themes stood out for you in the book? A lot of people have mentioned about this is a tearjerker, crying from beginning to end for different reasons, both sad and happy. How was your experience of the book?
Thank you, Andrew. Good evening, everyone. Sorry again for joining the meeting late. A bit of a family emergency I had to sort out. What has been mentioned, yeah, it was a really heart-wrenching book, an experience for me. I think I saw a lot of the writer trying to bring in a lot of his first-hand experience from his experience as a medical student, informing the different disciplines from which you are supposed to specialize on. I was moved, especially in the scene where it talks about how he witnessed the whole childbearing process, how life, and only to learn later on they didn't survive a couple of hours or so. I think also having those, can you call them flash forwards then, now to his situation when he discovers he's unwell and he has to just also be on the other end. He's the one, at one point he's the one offering support, and now it's him who needs the support being given. So yeah, I don't think I can say more than that. But what can I say? We're not immune to demise, to sickness, and that so he really was able to explain his story in a powerful way. Yes.
Yes. Thank you for sharing, Lynn. It reminds me of when you were saying the second time. I think for me, this is one of the main themes of the book is book learning versus practical learning, or rather 844 versus industry experience. Because I remember the story he was saying of they did CPR before, but when they did it on dummies, these guys were just playing. But when they did it on dead bodies, I guess they call those dead bodies cadavers. Cloud9 and Kawesa, feel free on correcting me on the pronunciation. Our medical experts in the room. Yes. So he found out that doing CPR on the cadavers was more real, and even this seeing the birth of the twins. You know, it's one thing talking about literature and, you know, philosophizing. Yeah, we like to hear the sound of our voice, but to get an activity that makes you experience that, you look at life differently. And then just looking at his life as a patient, I guess, you know, that one causes someone to ask, you know, how would you feel if you are okay, no, it's not the same analogy, but if you are the customer that you serve in whatever you're doing, do you think you're treating yourself humanely according to the customer's needs, emotional needs? Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone want to contribute towards that?
Yes, I want to. It's Marion.
Sure. Yes,
I like
Marion.
that question of if you are receiving your own services, would you still do it the same way? I think that's a good lesson to learn from the book. For the others, and also maybe I've read in several books, including I think The Monk That Sold His Ferrari. There's a chapter that was saying people should prepare to die every day. So I've made it a habit anytime I attend a burial, especially in Langata, I visit the other graveyards just to remind myself that we're not going to be here for long. So he did live such a long life, but he's created an impact. We're in Kenya discussing about a guy who was American. So what impact, my takeaway would be, what impact will I have left by the time I leave? Because I won't be here forever. But the woke people say I will transform, I won't die. So either way, exit through transformation or dying, what impact will I have left? I think that would be my takeaway. Well, I'll still finish the book, but I'm halfway. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm at the point where he was feeling too much pain and the guard is not getting it. It's like, sir, you have to leave.
Yes. It's like, can't you see I'm in pain? You think I want to sit down here on the bench and make your work hard?
Precisely. So you see, people lack empathy. People are so hard on, this is the rule, but you don't know what the other person is feeling. If the guard was feeling the same amount of pain, would he,
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Andrew.
Yes.
Maybe I could also contribute about this issue now.
Yes.
Basically, the theme is death, how to die. Yeah.
Yes.
When I first read this book, my father was sick, really sick. He had cancer. And it was one hell of a journey. So a friend of mine told me, could you just read this book and be a bit comforted about death? Maybe you will try and handle it better, or you will struggle with it, but maybe it will get better in time. Basically, but the time she was telling me about this was merely a year into my father's death. It took another 3 years. But yeah. Did I learn anything when dealing with my father's death from that book? No. Actually, no. Yeah. What I learned to do with my father, it did not, what I'm trying to say is it did not change the grieving process, but it helped me understand the process, the sickness itself, what it does to the person. There's a time he was very irritable, there is whatnot. It did not help me deal with death itself, because grief is grief. It's not something, even my father himself talked about dying. Every other day we talked about it. But when you lose someone, you just lose that person, yeah? But what it does is prepares us, the people dying, on how to handle the people you're with, the people who are around you, how to be with them at certain times. And it also encourages us, okay, for me, to be very open with how I feel when I feel it, so that I do not waste people's time or their lives or whatever. So if I love somebody, I tell them I love them. If I don't like them, I remove them from my life. It's just that. For me, it's quite clean about how to live life. Do what it is that makes you happy. Be kind to the people who are in your life. And when you cannot be kind, you'd rather just leave them alone. That was what I learned from it. So now, just the other day, about I think sometime last year, I discovered a program on Netflix called New Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. And it is about a doctor who is struggling with cancer. That thing was just it resonates to this guy's story because the wife is also pregnant. So I keep asking myself, is it possible that these people have borrowed from this script?
Maybe they could have.
There is a very high chance that they did. He's not a neurosurgeon, but there is a very high chance they did. But what I've learned about death is about how to be with the people around me. Just love people passionately, be kind, do things that make you happy, just live like that, because you are going to die. We are not leaving this planet alive. Mm-hmm. Yes. Those are my thoughts.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. Yes, how we make decisions is one of the major themes. This book also gave me, the question, and I wrote so many things, close to the very end. Is it Emma? Yeah, Emma was his primary care doctor, said that thing at the end, when he was being asked, do you want to come back to work again, even though you're recovering from cancer? And he was like, should I come back or should I not? My life has been all about figuring about the meaning of life and helping, people's lives be better. So I'll go ahead and, I'll come back to work. Was it the right decision? I don't know. Was it the wrong decision? I don't know. At the end of the day, everyone makes, like she said here, you have to figure out what's most important to you and then you do it. So thank you for sharing that, Wanja. Anyone else wants to share anything on top of that or even do another totally different theme?
I've just thought of something. I don't know if it was Wanja or who said it about being kind. Like if you leave this earth, are people going to be happy with the services that you provide if you are the customer receiving your own services? And I just thought about M-Pesa lady.
Is it the one being done by George Kagwe?
I have a question.
Yes.
For those that finished the book, how did the wife grieve? Because I have a few friends that are grieving and I don't know how to handle them.
Okay, it's okay to come to the end. Go ahead,
Marion. I've told you something. Grieving is a very personal. Grieving is a very personal feeling. There is nothing you can do that makes it any better or that decides when is it going to stop or something like that. It's not a uniform thing. It's not something that can be done in a certain way. You just learn to live. You learn to live. That's all I can say about death. You learn to live. The people who remain learn to live through it. Yeah. Never getting over it sometimes, depending on the situations. I lost my mom in 2002. And up to this day, sometimes I cry over her. So yeah, it's just something. Sometimes it is something that you feel you missed or something like that. And that's why I said, be everything you can be to people. And I keep asking myself, if somebody, the minute I die, when I die, what will my people, what will my family say about me? What are the fond memories they will have of me? Yes, people remember a lot of negative things about people, but what are the things that will carry through into whatever generations? Will my grandchildren be told mom was like this, like that, or something like that? Those kind of things. There is no way to live to die or to grieve. There is just no formula for grieving. You just learn to accept in time and then live life. If you remain, live life. But since we all know we are dying, I think for me, the thing is to just be who I am. Do not be a faker. Don't do things that are just not of quality life, unless that's your choice. And you see, that makes you happy. And the people who remain will have this memory. Even if you're a bad person, they will remain knowing this person was bad, that was it. But you will have lived happy. Yeah, but for me, I'd rather be good.
Wanja, I agree with that part. What I'm asking is how do I help them, or how can I just be there for them? I know I cannot fill that gap, but they've just gone like in their own cocoon. They're making bad decisions, bad choices.
Show up, be there, don't say much.
Yeah,
ask them if they need anything. Just that. Grieving, you cannot tell someone about ati tunajua ni Mungu alifanya hivi na hivi na that's not, it's never acceptable. I know people keep saying it's God's will. No, the Bible also says something about growing old, dying in old age. So that one I usually want to really have about with people about that, because it's not possible. But when someone passes on and someone is really suffering, just show up, keep showing up. That's all they'll remember. Show up. Don't even talk much. Just be there. Help them with things. Whatever it is they need. Do for them stuff, whatever. Just be there. So that if they are making that bad decision, they are making that bad decision while you're looking them in the eye. They can see. And they will remember you did not say anything, but you are a witness to that. Those are my feelings.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Wanja shared a lot, but just to summarize,
okay.
Just
I think
there,
what I'll do is because they're feeling some.
Sorry, you cut off. You said they're feeling some. Marian?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, okay, welcome. Yes, I shared something there in the chat that I'll go ahead and post again.
Oh, no, I was saying, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead. Yes, Marian? Okay, you've disappeared. Okay, I can't hear you now, Marian. Okay, we'll come back to you. These questions came at the beginning of the book. How do you feel after reading of the book? How does it feel to still live after you are gone with your words, the words that you've left behind? Listen to what you have to say back after you experience the book. And, that's why I want to appreciate all of you over here. But I'd like to just point out two key people who've been impactful in my life. And the first person is Anissa Ndisi. For having created this book club experience, I don't take it for granted. It's not easy to create anything, to bring people together, to share their love for books. A lot of people read books on their own and they're pretty much happy on their own. But to be able to create a place where people can share their thoughts and feelings of what they've read is priceless. So Anissa, I'd just like to thank you and I appreciate you.
Thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome. And
it's amazing to see what it's done.
And again, the thanks goes to you. So keep on doing you, if that's anything to say. Your legacy moves forward. Look at the lives you're impacting.
Thank you.
And the second person I'd like to appreciate is Regina Ray Gitao. She is a reason, I'm able to communicate like this. No, I'm not a natural. I've been taking classes. She has a program called Pep Talk. And through a lot of coaching and a lot of classes, it has enabled me to be able to facilitate things like this where you guys feel, oh my God, is this natural or what have you? So it is a skill. So I'd just like to appreciate Regina. Regina, please say hi.
Hi, Andrew, and hi, everyone. I'm on 2 gadgets right now, so don't mind the little bit of distraction. It's a pleasure being on this platform this evening, albeit in and out. I spoke with Andrew yesterday, and he invited me, and I said I will take time to come in and listen to what you all are doing, and be a part of you for the evening. I'm a little bit distracted, but I appreciate being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Regina. So, yes, let's continue. Who do you guys appreciate in your lives now? Let's imagine that, let's not do this when they're dead. Let's do it in their life. Is there someone in the book club you'd like to appreciate, or even if it's not in the book club, who would you like to appreciate? Or what would you like to share?
I'd like to. So it's still about the book, but the character that I appreciated the most is the wife, because she survived, if that's what to use. She was supportive. She was able to hold her own, even when she probably felt like she couldn't. I mean, I'm sure if she wrote this book from her perspective, something tells me we'd be more tears than more tears than what Paul was able to articulate. And it's I feel like I appreciate her more because of what she has been through, and I can trying to put myself in her shoes, that you've met this guy and you're in love and things are nice, and she probably had her own dreams about how she wanted things to go through, how she wanted things to happen. But Bay has said he wants to finish residency and do this and that kind of thing, and you're thinking, okay, sawa, so we let a couple of years pass so he can finish this thing, and then it will be my turn, and maybe start a family and that kind of thing, and then boom, cancer. And before that, remember, there's a point in the book where they were having some kind of marital issues, and things weren't as rosy as that because of career choices and life being what it was. But in their case, a crisis brought them together, and it is sad, really, because I'm sure it has you wondering about all the missed days when you fought about stuff and you could have been spending that time just being together, loving each other, not fighting. But cancer happened, and then she spends her days caregiving. She's turned from wife to caregiver, and then a baby, which, as Anissa said, not a very easy conversation to have, because this baby will probably only know him for a little while, if ever, and then she will have to raise their child alone. I think she's the strongest character there, because she was strong for at least 3, for herself, for him, and for their baby. And it's not easy at all, because she was very lucky because she had support from the family, the in-laws and whatnot, and friends. But when everyone else is gone and it's at night and it's just the 2 of you, it can be very overwhelming emotionally, physically. So I think she's the strongest person. And she's not just a fictional character, but I'd appreciate her and any other person in that position. It's commendable, because they never get enough props. The center is always on the sick person, and this book really was just about Paul, if you think about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there's something that came to mind as you're sharing that. This over-glorification of working long hours, because even it says in the book, on paper, according to the government, they're supposed to work 88 hours a week, but these guys are pushing 100. And there's a part where he says, I think my body, it's like it grew tired. That's why it became sick so that I could rest. So this thing of also overworking, I think, is glorified. And people don't see how overworking hurts your relationship with your partner. This thing of wanting to be, yes, Dr. So-and-so, yes, I got props, I did this surgery, I do 120 hours a week. But then when you ask them, you've done your 120 hours a week, how's your family doing? How's your partner doing? You can see that they'll be tongue-tied. They won't have the same zeal and words the way they had for their career. I'm sorry, Anissa, I think you had something to say?
So I was saying about the dying with integrity part. I'm sorry, it doesn't go with what you're saying, but I think we also have a culture as people, I don't know if it's an African thing, of when we get sick, we don't die nicely. We make it hard for everybody around us to stand us. And that's one thing that this book shows you more than anything. It's possible to struggle through an illness that's gonna make you die, but not make everybody around you feel. And that's the dying with integrity part, where you do whatever you can to make your mark as you're going out, as opposed to being morose and sad and forlorn as you die, And so that stood out for me because a lot of people just leave a bad taste in their family's mouths as they go out, and they leave them sad and wishing they could do more to alleviate the sick person's sadness, where it could be different,
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Yes, who's next? Let's start sharing these themes. Time is going.
Andrew?
Yes.
I'd love to chip in.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't mind the noise in my background. It's raining here.
Okay.
So, Anissa, as Anissa was saying, death in the African setup doesn't have a good reputation. And that is largely due to our medical facilities and resources,
Mm-hmm.
Majority of the population cannot afford proper health care. So mostly they're left to suffer in substandard health facilities with inadequate medical help. That is why death is not such a good thing in the African setup. I mean, Paul was lucky. He was a neurosurgeon, a senior resident in his hospital. I assume he had some savings and good money and health insurance. And that's why he could access the best health care. And that is a privilege that not everyone has access to. And it's unfortunate. Maybe we should start aspiring towards a health care where everyone can actually die with dignity. I think that is important. And then people will start seeing death as necessarily a bad thing, The bad taste that it leaves in people's mouths, like Anissa said, that would go away if we could turn around our health facilities and ensure that they worked better and actually gave people proper healthcare service.
Yes. And thank you for sharing that point, Aurelia. And Anissa shares that you're right, but my experience here is with patients that can access the best, but I hear what you're saying. Yeah, Aurelia, your insight is one there we cannot unpack in the time we have. But yes, that is something that has several layers, including the challenge of hospitals to provide adequate health care to the current population of Kenya. They don't have enough equipment and space. You're right, sometimes the medical insurance is expensive. What are the other options? And HIF is not really optimum in its execution so much. But yes, thank you for sharing. Let's move on. What other themes would you like to share? Yes, ndugu, karibu.
Ndio.
And some people might have a challenge na kuongea lugha sanifu sana. Unajua we ni fluent kwa lugha sanifu, lakini watu wengine wana struggle.
Sawa. Kifo, like we've alienated death, it's not something we speak of on a regular or on a daily. We don't have enough conversations concerning life and death.
Brother.
It's mostly life. You only live once. Like, okay, nafikiri the nini consumerist society tunayo sasa hivi inatuonyesha tuishi kwa sasa yani. So like death is a distant enemy yenye no one really ever thinks about. Then like throughout his life you see that out of his death the awareness of his limited time, he chose to find meaning to create meaning out of it. So normally utasikia watu wakisema what's your purpose, what's your life purpose, what drives you, like in the morning when you wake up, what pushes you through the day, blah blah blah. Ukiangalia conversations za mental health, that's the one thing that wanajaribu kuinstill kwa watu, kumwambia like here, in as much as you're anxious you're bipolar or you're this or you're that, what gives your life meaning, what do you choose to give your life meaning? So like to me that stood out na I found it quite powerful. Like hadi mwenyewe najiuliza kuhusu life yangu, if I have the awareness niko na miaka 2 nife, kati ya sasa hivi na huo muda nitafanya nini kwa maisha yangu, nitafanya kwa maisha yangu, either for myself for the people around me or for society or community at large, nitafanya nini. Na sasa I think a person who has the awareness like they're about to die, there's a level of enlightenment yenye iko juu sana compared na sisi wenye unaona afya yako iko sawa, kwa sababu you might fall the next minute na hujafikiri kuhusu kifo. So okay, I find it quite interesting. Kisha another thing I found interesting in the book ni the moment he tells his doctor, you take the wheel, do what you think is right for me. Like to me that was quite interesting, kwa sababu there's a book I was reading earlier in the day. It gave an example of a person who goes to a dentist. It's an actual thing that happened in 1936. Alikuwa ameenda tu regular checkup ya meno, kisha baada ya hizo whatever could numb the pain and whatnot, huyo muuguzi akazimia. By the time aliamka anapata hana meno 16.
Wow.
Na baada ya miezi 3 kafa. So
gosh,
the doctor was sued kwa sababu family kwa inasema daktari amefanya this whole operation or this whole surgery bila consent ya mgonjwa. So there was that thing like that came to mind, like do doctors treat or deal with the illness, or do they try to relieve the individual? So to me, the way when breath becomes air, like the main Paul venye akaambia daktari wake amtibu venye anaona is best for him, ilikuwa interesting sana. Like you've given the doctor full rights over your own being, like your own self, afanye kitu anaona ni bora zaidi. I don't know. I find it quite interesting and profound. Yeah, I think Nizo.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And
trusted a dentist. Me, I'm still there.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things also Paul tends to highlight, the attitude of doctors. You see, even if he mentions it, saying that, you could see his effort to be what I would say humane, and even when he was being treated by Emma, it's like, this way that you're talking to me, I don't like it. Okay, now that you're changing your tone, I appreciate this approach. Give me plan A, plan B, plan C. Give me options. Don't just say, life doesn't look good. Yeah, you have 6 months to live and you're evil. No.
Exactly. Like that's the scientific way of thinking.
Yes. So I think even we would have to appreciate Paul And any doctor or professional we meet out there that attempts to include heart in their career, that not just treating the customer as you're just a number coming in, boom, 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 but you're a flesh and blood person with emotions. Can I extend my duties while considering your emotional and mental and physical well-being and spiritual well-being? So, and I think that's
Can
the
I add
challenge.
something to that?
Yes, please.
As a medic, that was actually my main takeaway from the book.
Yes. Talk to us, medic.
So I understand that sometimes the medical people we tend to overlook and like because that's the work. So you have to do the procedure and sometimes you forget that this person is in pain. And so what this book did for me was remind me to be more compassionate and empathetic, to remember that the issue that brought the person to me is actually pain, not the what the x-ray is showing me or what the image is showing me. So to get to that, you have to deal with the pain first. So that was my main takeaway. So I would want to mention about careers. I think when you're choosing medicine is quite time intensive, whether you like it or not. I know some people think that when you go after medicine, it takes away time from your family, yes, but this is a choice that some of us make. And some of what comes with medicine is that some of the programs are quite time intensive. For example,
Sorry, your audio has disappeared. Some of them are time intensive. Okay, we can't hear you. Oh gosh, that was such a powerful point you're sharing. Veronica, maybe your connection is going in and out. Okay, while we wait for Veronica to come back. Yes, anyone else wants to share? We have 15 minutes. And I've just been sharing also in the chat, some of the quotes that stood out to me, just some of the thoughts he was thinking about, that our life is about striving. But I guess one question I would ask is, even though we are striving, do you do it at the expense of your health, pushing your body past, normal levels and not getting enough sleep? But I guess like Veronica mentioned, that's the challenge of the medical health space.
I
Yes.
think to add on to Veronica's point, sorry, let me just chime in. It's
Sure.
that it's not just the medical professional, the other professions as well that are extremely time consuming. And as an adult, when you get to that point, sometimes if you're being honest with yourself, then you have to make a decision about what it is that you're going to sacrifice. If you're going to focus on your career, something must give. So if it is family, if you're honest enough, then you know not to maybe start a family and you're not going to be there for them because then you'll be depriving them of you. If it is, I don't know, your social life, then that means maybe your social life will be limited to your colleagues and that kind of thing. It's anyone who's going in it for the right reasons anyway, and who's conscious about what their career really entails, then is aware that if I am to succeed and to be the best person and the best version of me in this career or in this field, I know government, as medical, as an example, will probably say I have to do 88 hours, but reality on the ground is off quite different. It's never the same. And especially if you're trying to prove yourself, you'll be like, well, I can do 90, I can push 100. It's definitely going to be noticed, especially if you don't do anything wrong. It's those decisions that you just have to make. Sometimes if you happen to be married like Paul, He was lucky he was married to somebody who understood the profession. If you're married to somebody who does not understand the strains and demands of your profession, then you're going to come home to a very angry spouse, and they will think maybe you're stepping out on them, or that you do not care for them, or your fights are going to be like, you're always tired, you never want to do anything, nah, 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 nah. And and then you'll avoid going home because you're going home to someone who's nagging. And it's not because of that. They are right and valid in what they're saying, but they do not understand what you do. So you're both right and you're both wrong. So I feel like even as medics go through what they go through, and any other person with a very demanding profession, they also deserve some empathy on their part, but also on their part, as a lesson from Paul's book, is to be sure and to be conscious of the person you're picking to be your partner. They have to understand what it is that you do so that you can both be happy.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Thank you for sharing that, Cloud9. Yes, I'd like to hear themes that stood out to you from Joy, Karen, you've not spoken, and unique books before we do all our parting shots. Like saying just one thing that you got from the book.
Andrew, for me, one of the themes that stood out is that time, because once Paul realized that he didn't have so much life left or such a long time left, then he chose to live in the present as opposed to doing things in the future. In any case, he had such little time to live. So for me, when I read the book, what was going through my mind was, what should I do in life to make it more meaningful when I have a particular period of life or time to live? Because, we wake up every day thinking that the day is going to be and tomorrow is going to come and next year is going to be. So what can I do in the present to make my life more meaningful? That is one of the things that I would perhaps, was one of the things that stood out for me. And in addition to that, perhaps for the other book members, I would urge you to also read another book called Everything Happens for a Reason and Other Lies I Loved by Kate Bowler. It's also a book about a professor who was also diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And she also goes through the same turmoil that Paul went through. So for me, that is what's for me. And it has impacted my life in terms of I live every day in the moment. Hope that tomorrow I will wake up and everything is going to be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Please share that title and author in the chat. So
I'll do so.
So when it's time to vote for the next book, we can consider.
Okay.
Wow. So thank you, Karen. Yes, unique books.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yes.
I think I don't want to to repeat myself, but mainly the main theme that stood out for me was death, and death is not a topic which will find easily people sharing out. Yeah, and how do I live my life to fulfillment? And I liked what Wanja shared, especially on dealing with the bereaved. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. Just let people believe, or give yourself some time to believe and pick out from there. Yeah, I'm having a little one here ananisumbua sana. Thank you.
Okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. And yes, I want to just use this last bit of time we have left to, what were the takeaways you got from the book that you attempt to apply to your lives right now? Like, this is the one thing. And if you can speak quickly, I'd say 3 things, but if not, one thing. Anyone like to start? Okay, let's start alphabetically. Anissa, what are the 3 things you've gotten from this book that you'll say that you'll try to apply to your life?
So actually what I wanted to bring to the fore was his words to his daughter at the end. But to save time, I was going to put it in the chat. Can I do that?
Yes, you can put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, feel free.
Because it's beautiful and it's painful and it really shows what kind of man he was, you know? Yeah.
And now that you mention that, it also shows me the importance of literature. I think, unfortunately, in Kenya, we don't read a lot of literature. And I notice men who tend to be that way read a lot of literature. And maybe as women, you could play your part of affirming the men that read literature rather than those who are very, you can tell someone who's brash and crude. Literature tends to open up your heart and deal with others from a different point. So I don't know, that's just my perspective. I don't know if it's true or not. Maybe ladies, you can share with me from your experience, but yeah, reading literature, poetry, you know, whether it's Rumi, Walt Whitman, whoever, you stop looking at life through just black and white, but you can appreciate how life flows, and even you notice your language changes.
So I'll send it on the Reading Book Club because it's a screenshot.
Okay.
But from me by...
All right. Thank you very much, Anissa.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Parting shot, Joy.
What I learned about the legacy, leaving a legacy, and you can leave a legacy through children, the way Paul did. Having a child for him was a way of leaving his legacy in the world. And he was only alive for 8 months after she was born, but he was really happy, and he was aware that he was going to die soon, but he was still very happy about it because it was part of, you know, like I thought about how our children are part of who we are, and we should impart the best parts of who we are in our kids. Then I also, there's this thing of, as a doctor, I feel like he was he wanted to be an emotionally connected doctor. He didn't want to be aloof, and, you know, sometimes, I don't know if it's an assumption, but sometimes you think that doctors have seen a lot of this dying and death, they get a bit disconnected from it. So I'm sorry if it's a wrong assumption. So he was also, you know, he wanted to be emotionally connected and supportive to his patients. And also his other legacy is writing this book so that he can help people who are in the process of dying, or who's your like someone close to you has died, and you want to, for me also, someone close to me passed on a couple of years back, and as I read this book, I imagine if that's how they felt. You know, so the legacy is to help people who are dying work through the transition, and also to help people whose relatives, friends, loved ones have died, to imagine, to just put themselves in that position of the dying process.
Wow. Thank you for that, Joy. That's powerful. What is your legacy and the process of going through dying? Yes, as Kenyans, I think we really do need that. So maybe this is an opportunity to start journaling. You never know, our words could impact the people around us in our lives. Thank you, Joy. Aurelia, parting shots. What did you learn? What are you going to apply? And try and make it 1 minute.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew. I was a bit distracted. What I learned from this book as a parting shot is that it is extremely important to have a good relationship with family, at least the family that matters, the immediate family, spouses, parents, siblings, you know, especially when you have a terminal illness, because that kind of moral support is extremely important in such a situation. And you saw how comforting it was for Paul when his father and mother moved into his state and found an Airbnb somewhere and rented it and spent the last of his days with him. It was extremely refreshing. So maybe going forward, I will make amends with one particular sibling of mine whom I had a fallout with, and that is what I took away from the book.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you, Aurelia. Yeah, that's a powerful one. Yeah, our family is our family, despite whatever happens. Let's just try the best we can. Thank you. Chums, welcome. We've gone through the book, we've summarized, we've spoken about the themes. We're just talking, I hope you read the book, so we're just talking about our takeaway now. What's your takeaway? You have to give you a chance to speak before we go.
Well, thank you. And sorry I'm late. I've been trying to get in, but yeah. Anyway, I read the book, and mine is my parting shot and also the entrance shot or anything. Anyway, my take is that for me, it's about the quality of life that we live and not the quantity. Paul died a very young man in real aspect of life in itself, and he had very many plans for his life. But then within that short period of time when he had cancer, from the period that he had cancer to the time that he died, I think for me he achieved more within that span of, was it 1.5 years or thereabout. For me, he achieved more during that time, because you see, by the time he was being diagnosed with cancer, they had like a fallout with his wife Lucy. There was that small fallout, and then the cancer brought them together and everything. So for me who is living, what I'm taking home is that I should not wait for disaster to strike for me to start living the life, because by then it will be too short. I should start now, and the period to start is, if not now, it was supposed to be yesterday. But now, from the time that I read that book to now, I'm trying to mend a few things. Of course, I'm not perfect, and I'll not be perfect. I'm not Paul. I cannot be Paul, but then the little way that I can. So yeah, that's the parting shot. The kind of life that you're going to live, not the amount of life that you live in this earth. Thank you.
Would you mind sharing with us the things that you're trying to fix? Maybe just one or two things, if they're not too many, please.
I'm always point communication. For me, that has always been a down for me. And anytime that, for example, when I'm in an argument or anything, I just kubali aishe. I usually accept and stuff. But then now, from the time that I read that book, I try to, like, if I believe that something is right for me, now I've started fighting for it and pushing that way. And also, I had a fallout with my dad for some reason. Yeah, so I'm trying to fix it. Although he's hard-headed just like me, I guess I'm his. So we are trying to figure out how we are going to sort it out. Those are some of the things that I'm trying to figure out. And also, I'm trying to come in terms with my girlfriend of very many years, on and off. So yeah, those are the kind of things that I'm trying to fix right now.
Wow, thank you for sharing, Chums. I'm honored you're able to join us and share that. Yes, Cloud9, parting shot.
My parting shot with this is I'm a romantic at heart, and I believe in true love. So this book has affirmed to me that how important it is in finding the right partner who loves you through thick and thin. Because people say those vows, but people have left marriages for much simpler reasons. So my thing about this book is that love is very, very important. The person who you love is even more important. Support from your friends and family is key. So doing what you have to maintain those relationships, and looking up for each other, understanding each other, because you're not all the same people. I can just imagine Paul and his demanding hours. Probably, I mean, some of his friends stopped being his friends because they're like, oh, he's never there. He's always busy. You know how people talk, that kind of thing. So even relating it in real life, I relate to him in that way, because my life is the work that I do has me extremely busy. I keep odd hours. I am not out as often as I probably used to before I did what I did. And
people have stopped, they don't consider your friends anymore because they're like, oh, you're never there. They think it's because you don't care, but they haven't taken the time to understand what it is that you do and, why you don't show up all the time. So I appreciate and care for those who are around me for whatever period they're around. My other parting shot is that life is unpredictable and you just never know because things might be going well and then boom, you're handed a life sentence. Or your marriage could be going well and in your honeymoon period and you're thinking about starting a family and then your person is taken away from you even before you get your so-called midlife crisis kind of thing. So it's life is short, is unpredictable, and living it to your best of your ability. I know people normally say YOLO, but for me it is YOLO with a purpose. And even as sometimes I struggle to find out exactly what my purpose is, I'm always clear about one thing is that I like to help people, especially those who cannot help themselves. And I'm very vocal about it, and I use that to 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 push for what it is that I want to push for. So yeah.
Wow, thank you for that, Claudia. Leah, after all that you've heard, do you have anything you want to share from this wonderful presentation? What have you learned? Your parting shot. Okay, thank you for sharing that in the chat. Lynn, your parting shots.
Well, first and foremost, we never take a single day for granted of this life. So make the most of it. Be genuine with others and just show up. Show up for those even you may not be in a position to identify or empathize with their situation, but just show up because that will mean a lot. You don't always have to have the right words to say, but just being there, your presence matters. Yes, that's all.
Wow, thank you. That's powerful. Marian? Marian, you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, parting shot.
I will try living as if I'm my own customer.
Wow, wow. That's powerful, yes. Hey, I like how you've done this. Short to the point and powerful.
Indeed.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Regina, would you like to share something, what you've learned from all that you've heard? Regina, can
Hi
you hear
there.
us? Yes.
Yes. Insightful discussions. I'm enjoying the sharing, and this looks like a book that I will look for and read. And I mentioned in the chat that it reminds me of Mitch Albom's books, Tuesdays with Maury and The Five Men You Meet in Heaven, which is similar because it has to do with death, dying, the process of and discussions. I won't say too much more, but the chat today has been quite timely, as somebody mentioned, only because we're going through a season of losing a lot of people. And so it's just been my pleasure to be with you all this evening. Thank you for inviting me, Andrew. You're doing a wonderful job facilitating.
Thank you very much. All right. Sarah, would you like to share anything that you've heard from this, your parting shot from what you've heard? Sarah, are you there? Okay. While Sarah is still coming on, Yes, this book is so action-packed with lessons. Yes, there's so many, it's hard just to pick one. But if I was to pick one, I would say balance. You know, even though you're hustling hard with career, do your best to balance it with family or your loved ones. And treat your customers with love also, your clients. There's a way you can also do it. So yeah, have time for wifey, girlfriend, whoever, family. Because at the end of the day, when things go bad, your work friends can only help you at the extent of work is related. But you know, your family and partner will be there for you. So, and also just try to plan for the future. That's another thing for me. Try to set things right, you know, some savings, something, you know, if God forbid something happens. So, and to, yes, also express myself. You know, as men, we don't get to express ourselves too much. Not to fear whether, you know, your partner is going to get angry. Let her get angry. But the important thing is express yourself, and also vice versa. You know, allow her to be angry, allow her to be emotional, and give her that space. So it's all part of understanding each other. Yeah, this book has been so powerful. Thanks for whoever recommended it. I guess, yeah, once we finish this, we go ahead in the WhatsApp chat and, you know, just say how the session was and give our recommendations so that we can start voting for our next book of the month. I appreciate each and every one of you who are able to show up for this and have stayed to the end. For those who are not able to stay to the end, I still appreciate them showing up. For those who wanted, I understand schedules get in the way, things happen. Hopefully they'll be able to be there for the next one. I have been your host, Andrew Balongo Opere, and this is the Reading Book Club, book number 6. And yes, love deeply. Be there always is a parting shot from Wanja. Thank you very much. And right now it's 1 minute to 8, so I think we're on time. You guys have a very lovely evening. Appreciate your loved ones tonight, and even all those people in book club that you appreciate. Just tell them verbally. People need to hear. So without further
Thank you,
ado,
Andrew.
welcome. Thank you, Cloud9. Have a good night, everyone.
Anytime. Cheers, guys. See you in the group.
All right. Yes, please, guys, give a review in the book how the session was. That whoever is interested, they'll show up for next time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.